Very good. Thanks, Brandon. Okay, good afternoon. Gail? Gail is 6 weeks pregnant.
14.
14. It's not showing, Gail. Okay. For every little kid in the womb, there was 4,400 little babies that were slaughtered today in the United States. 4,400. We have just crossed the 65 million abortion mark in this country. We are living in a Holocaust unparalleled in the history of mankind. Now, and I agree with Brian, the ASP is all about life, from conception to natural death. So, a number of years ago, there were a whole series of things that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. I felt very spiritually prompted to give up my profession and to go out on the road. Not only to run for president, but I also have a pro-life apostolate. I've talked to maybe 1,000 churches around the country at this point. And the message that I give them is this: abortion won't end. Abortion won't end until we collectively go to the streets and create a climate similar to what was created in the South in order to end segregation. That simple. I mean, we keep tweaking stuff, you know, and that's good, and some of these bills that have just been passed, and this, that, and the other thing, but until we collectively create that kind of climate, because what ended segregation in the South was those day in and day out protests. A lot of people didn't want segregation to end, but they wanted those protests to end more. And it was those protests that finally drove the legislation. So, as president, guess what I'm doing the second day in office? You know, I had that March for Life. Not one pro-life president has stood in solidarity with those people that day. Not one has gone to the streets. So, first thing I'm doing is I'm not only standing in solidarity with them, but then the next week I'm flying out to Bakersfield, California. And I'm going to stand with a group of people protesting in front of an abortion clinic there. And then I'm going to Bismarck, North Dakota the following week, and I'm going to walk through a neighborhood with a group of people protesting. See, because a lot of times we cloister ourselves in front of the abortion clinic, but what did they do in the South? They were doing it in the diners, they were doing it in the neighborhoods, they were creating such a ruckus. So what I think is that, I mean, it's 40 years since Roe versus Wade. We've had how many pro-life presidents? We've had how many pro-life Supreme Court justice people?
Zero.
Yeah, well, zero. That's right. That's good. That's very good, actually. Nothing has moved this off a dime. So as president, I'm on the streets. I'm not in the White House. Now, that's not just rhetoric, but the last 20 years that we've been on the road campaigning, I have stood in solidarity with people protesting in Bismarck, and people protesting in Bakersfield, people protesting in Cleveland. Our family has stood in solidarity. That's what needs to happen. Also, I believe strongly that we have to look at all the precipitating factors that lead to abortion. And that's what the ASP platform does. It looks at poverty. It looks at injustice. It's all about dealing with this in an endemic at the roots thing, because this won't go away unless there's a combination of that stuff. The other thing that we've done as we've traveled is the other thing that needs to happen is there needs to be safety nets all over the country for women in crisis pregnancy. And there's some good ones. We researched down in Ocala, Florida. They have the Maria Goretti House. They took an old convent at a Catholic church, and the church said, you know what, we're going to start to take in unwed mothers that are in crisis pregnancy. And not only do they take them in, but the whole church family has formed this cocoon around these people in order to help them as much as possible. Mom's House up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, they've set up a daycare center for women in crisis pregnancy who want to continue with their education. And I could go, Womankind, just on the east side of Cleveland, total free health care, not only for the first 9 months, but for the next 3 years. So as president, I'm driving to Cleveland and saying, look, America, this is something that works here. This will work in any place. I'm going to Ocala, Florida. You haven't picked up, I'm not spending much time in the White House. But I may be down in Ocala saying, I can't legislate this, but I can use the presidency as a bully pulpit in order to say, look, America, here's a place where they're doing something and it works, it's tangible. Do the same thing in Des Moines. Do the same thing in Tampa. So, for me, it would be extremely proactive as far as trying to stop this. And all those talks that I give in the churches and that kind of thing, long before I'm ever president, I'm trying to evoke a whole lot of this now. Because God has opened all these doors to get this message out. Now, I don't know, this isn't showing up on an exit poll, but I don't know how many people have been affected by the talk or by us standing as a family out on the street. You can't quantitate, or that's not quantitative. However, who knows how many seeds got planted along the way where people were motivated to go out and do something, and then somebody saw that and they did it. So I'm getting policies enacted long before I ever get to DC. So in a way, partially, I'm president of the United States now. Whenever I say that, my wife always looks at me and says, you know, Joe, it's a happy little world you're living in. She's the one who keeps me balanced, you know. She's always, every campaign, she's like, you sure want to do this again? You know. But I'll tell you, and this is the end part of this particular segment of my talks, is that I wouldn't trade what we've been doing for anything. And the reason why is what's in Gail's womb right now. We need to stand up for those kids. Because if we don't, who's going? God bless you guys.
The next speech is going to be about marriage and family, and I'd like to call Miss Alessa Young to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. As John said, my name is Elisa Young. I am from Pittsburgh, PA. I was born and raised and am still Catholic, which I think has been a big reason that I